1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. I called in sick today because I have a stomachache. So, I decided to start a podcast. I've been working in the tech industry for a long time. Back when I was selling digital cameras at a computer shop in Akihabara, the OS was Windows 95. It was the era of the screeching dial-up modem. 30 years have passed since then. ADSL, fiber optics, Wi-Fi, cloud computing, mobile, wearables, and now AI. Now, I am creating this video with AI. I never imagined something like this would happen. People say humans will lose their jobs to AI. They say we will live on government benefits called universal basic income. We don't have to work, and we get paid. That sounds like a pretty good deal. What exactly is the problem with that? Interestingly, people have started saying that money itself might disappear. If humanoids do all the work, there are no labor costs. Those humanoids are manufactured by other humanoids. Even the materials are gathered by them. As a result, prices will drop, and eventually they say the cost of everything will become zero. Imagine this. Stock charts and currency exchange rates flatlining, like an electrocardiogram of a stopping heart. I believe that means the end of economic inequality. This is also a good story. The poor won't have to envy the rich. The rich won't have to stress over losing money in the stock market. A world where humanity is liberated from slave labor, and everyone lives equally. I believe that is the future of humanity. Let's change the subject a little. Recently, there has been news that medical advancements could overcome aging. In other words, eternal life might become possible. They say that by our grandchildren's generation, the concept of lifespan will disappear. No need to work, no need for money, and no death. This is the future of humanity, and we are standing right at the doorstep. I heard yesterday that the company president bought his 5th German car, so I decided to take the day off again today. All of us employees drive domestic cars. In the last episode, I talked about the future of humanity. No work, no money, and no death. So you might ask, what on earth will we do? How will we spend our days? I say, figure it out yourself. Humans are becoming robots in both body and mind. It's ironic. Personally, I think everyone will leave the cities and move to the countryside. We'll grow our own vegetables and fruits, and just eat delicious food every day. There will be no merit to living in the city. With more free time, communities in each region will become more important, and it is said that events like music festivals will increase. Also, in a world without the concept of a lifespan, everyone is expected to become a generalist who can do anything, rather than a specialist in one profession. That is the story about lifestyle. Now let's talk about technology, specifically AI and IT. The Moonshot Goal is clearly stated on the Japanese government's website. It is a vision to realize a society in which human beings are free from limitations of body, brain, space, and time by 2050. Simply put, this is about advanced technology called brain-machine interface, or BMI. BMI was originally a technology for severely paralyzed patients. By embedding an IC chip in the brain and connecting it to a PC or the internet, various things become possible. For example, remote control of humanoids. You could operate multiple units simultaneously. In short, it's Nagato and the 6 paths of pain from Naruto. In terms of system configuration, Nagato acts as the server, and the 6 paths of pain are the client terminals under his control. Let's talk about what lies even further beyond the Moonshot Goal. In the Matrix, Neo installed Jiu-Jitsu into his brain. Can humans, for example, install foreign languages? Downloading apps to the brain and having them run in a local environment as a standalone system seems to be difficult to realize. This is because rewriting the brain requires a physical change called neuroplasticity, and it takes time to rewire the synapses. However, if the IC chip embedded in the brain connects to the internet at high speed, cloud-based translation software can process it in real time, allowing you to speak any language. You can speak foreign languages without studying. At this stage, the internet takes on the role of an external hard drive for the human brain. It is an extension of the brain. In short, this is Dr. Vegapunk's Punk Records from One Piece. Imagine a future where all human brains are directly connected to the internet. Suppose someone discovers a new recipe. That recipe, along with the emotion of the taste, is instantly shared with all of humanity. Humanity itself becomes one giant server. In short, it is the Human Instrumentality Project from Evangelion. What you are thinking in your head right now is transmitted to me like telepathy. Your joy becomes my joy. Your pain is also my pain. In this state, privacy means nothing. The ego disappears and I become you. Yesterday, I was out on my veranda smoking. I noticed some ants forming a line, busy carrying something. I watched them for a while. Those tiny things were way more organized than the company I work for. It made me sick. So, I decided to skip work again today. In the last episode, I talked about connecting all human brains into one, the ultimate BMI, the Human Instrumentality Project. If we could peek into each other's minds, lying would become impossible. In Japanese, we have these words, honne and tatemae. One's true feelings versus the fake facade we show the public. Basically, the two-faced nature of being human. I've got a feeling that if society ever gets wealthy enough, this whole problem will just vanish. In the first episode, I talked about the future of humanity. No work, no money, and no death. Since you're not working, you don't pay taxes. Hell, you even get a basic income. But the catch? You lose your privacy. Completely. While I was imagining that kind of life, the imperial family popped into my head. The imperial family lives on the taxes squeezed from the people. And they don't exactly work in the way we do. Part of me is jealous. But they live with zero privacy from the moment they're born. I actually feel a little sorry for them. Here's my theory. When people are constantly exposed to the gaze of others, they stop doing bad things. In fact, driven by that pathetic desire to be praised, they'd probably start doing good deeds, wouldn't they? Watching the imperial family made me think about that. I mean, you don't see them making secret burner accounts to talk trash about people, right? They probably wouldn't even dream of it. And just to be clear, I'm talking about the Japanese imperial family. The Japanese imperial family doesn't show up in the Epstein files. So yeah, I'm taking a positive view on the death of privacy. Bribery, corruption, bid rigging, they'll all probably disappear. Sounds like a good deal to me. Now, some people predict that if peace lasts too long, humanity will get bored. I don't buy it. I think it's the exact opposite. Japan lost the war and became a country that wasn't allowed to fight anymore. In a way, I see this as an experiment. What happens when a major power stops playing soldier? The result? A massive explosion of culture. Manga, anime, games, pro wrestling, martial arts, plastic models, figures, gourmet food, fashion, cars, bikes, cameras. The list goes on. It's a perfect example of how peace actually feeds the artistic soul. And get this, the peaceful future I'm talking about now. It lasts forever. A world where nobody dies. The scale is on a whole different level. I think we're looking at a future, so bright it's unlike anything we've ever seen. The polar opposite of the mess we're in now. So let's consider the risks of this future utopia. What happens with the population explosion? Will some guy appear who's actually figured out how to beat immortality and end up being worshipped as a new savior? It's a bit of old news, but about 10 years ago, NASA found this star system called TRAPPIST-1. They discovered planets with actual oceans, liquid water, for the first time. 3 of them, all at once. Planets where life could actually survive. Now think about the timing. This huge discovery happens just as humanity is finally being freed from thousands of years of slave labor, only to become permanently unemployed. Plus, we've got this future population problem hanging over our heads. In a situation like that, it's only natural to think, why don't we just fire some missiles loaded with amino acids at those ocean planets? And then we just watch. I mean, we've got nothing but time, right? Infinite time. Maybe something like us would eventually show up. Who knows? And then it hit me. Where did we, the human race, actually come from? The truth is, we have no idea where we came from.